know a lot of people are talking about, oh, we pulled another Taco Charlton in round one here with pick 26 taking Mazi, but I don't see that. Taco plays a different position. He's a guy that like to stand up and rush. They try to put him in the 4-3, make him put his hand on the dirt, play on the outside. Mazi's an interior defensive lineman. What are your thoughts there with Mazi?
Yeah, I think it's just a Michigan thing, but I think I mean, when you look at it, and we always talked about, what was it, BPA or was it need, man? I just think, you get a guy that can come and plug into this defense day one. I mean, the DT. You looked around at other positions. I don't foresee that it was going to be the same way. I think at this spot, man, it just opens up everything for everybody. You know what I mean? You see the phone call with Micah, not the phone call, but you know what I'm saying. You see him on there. He's showing the text messages with him and Dan Quinn, and I think not only with him. I think that could be said for a lot of guys like a Van Der Esch. You see how his play was able to improve with a Hankins inside. But man, it's a powerful guy. I would say maybe the strongest guy in the draft, strong hands. He'll be able to get in there. You know what I mean? I just think he'll make an impact from day one, man. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? So I love the Mazi pick personally. I love it.
no, I agree. And then it kind of leads me to think, was Dalton Kincaid our guy? Did Buffalo jack us right there when they traded up? I wonder if Mazi was the pick all the way. I really do want to find that out. Because if so, like, what does Kincaid have that they were willing to take him in the first round?
Oh, I think it was smoke screen all the way
You
though.
do?
I do. I do. I mean, in hindsight, seeing how it played out, I mean, we'll get to it. We did take a tight end. But if you just kind of read the tea leaves and kind of see the things that's coming out, Jerry does this all the time. But they're pretty much saying like, okay, he was the third or 14th ranked player in their board. And one thing I do, I trust Will McClay. And then as you know, the history of just knowing if this was a Dan Quinn guy, and he was able to come in there and say, this is a guy I want. I trust DQ. Because he knows what he wants, he knows what he's looking for, he know how he want to take his defense to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at Miles, you hear him talk. He seems like an infectious kid. He has the energy. He looked like he just ready to get to work right away. He's a dog. He said, "I'm a dog." You know what I mean? So he got the energy to it. He seemed like he got the right attitude. He's ready to get to work. And just getting that in there, and then you look around the landscape of our division, NFC East. Everybody has these big trenches. I mean, you see the Deron Paynes. We also see what Philly did, getting a Jalen Carter in there alongside of Jordan Davis and things like that. Our defense is right there with it. The defense line is right there. The only thing we was missing was the interior and getting a guy like this. I don't know the last time the Cowboys even drafted a DT in the first round. I had to think back to maybe like Russell Merlin. It's way back years, but it's not nothing that the Cowboys do. But it just kind of gives you the idea that now it's a change of tide here in Dallas. They looking at positions differently. They didn't value safety a time before, but you get DQ in there and you say, hey, I need these guys. I need safeties. I need J-Ron Curses. I need the hookers and everybody of that nature. And then now with DQ was coming in and saying, look, I need some big boys in the middle. This is not your tackles, your trash cans that you're getting in the fifth and sixth rounds. It's just there to eat up space. Now, this is a guy that, yeah, he's a big boy, he can eat up space, but also he has some penetration ability and also upside as a pass rusher, just the way they was using him in Michigan. I don't think they was putting him in favorable positions to be a pass rusher. But I think DQ and, Dorde and the guys on defensive line, they know exactly how they want to work them out. So.
No, I see. I think so. What was it, Thursday night when I was sitting there? I mean, I wanted Steve Avila right there. That was my pick. And I was a little upset first. Not upset. I mean, I was just kind of like, you see Jalen Carter going at pick 9, and then they got Jordan Davis last season. They bring Fletcher Cox back in Philly. So I'm sitting there like, we need to put something on this offensive line to combat that,
Yeah.
right? So I'm like, Steve Avila all the way, the power run game. And when that pick doesn't happen, I'm like, oh, okay. So I put my little detective glasses on to look into it. And I was thinking, no, I'm just playing. I was thinking, you had that Jacksonville game. They ran the
Yeah.
ball all over us. You go to the San Francisco game, the last 2 years in the playoffs, getting out physical at the line of scrimmage on the defensive side of the ball. You got Micah Parsons, you got Van Der Esch, you got Tank getting pushed around. I mean, yes, they made their impacts, but they weren't able to change the course of the game. We just weren't physical enough in that front seven. You go get a guy like Mazi Smith, the strongest guy coming out in the draft at that position, a freak of an athlete, a big body to go next to a Jonathan Hankins so that Philly can quit it with that quarterback sneak.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Now, can you stuff San Francisco when it comes to the playoffs? Can you right that wrong? So I do see it more as a vengeful pick, but a smart one. Like, so I do
Yeah.
agree there. Looking at it now, though, now I'm worried about the offensive line. Now I'm
I
worried.
mean, I think we all was. That's the thing that I would say baffles me the most. Just if we're gonna move on from Miles here, let's just all can say collectively. I will say this. You know, in the draft, everybody has their own guy, and I think they get caught up in that. Like you had certain guys you like, I got certain guys I like. You see a lot of people on the couches, and everybody is looking at these mocks. They're looking at Kuiper, and they kind of foresee that they know where these players should go. But you got to realize that all of these guys do it. They talking to these GMs and trying to visualize what they would do and where to project these players, but they're not in the building. They're not the scouts, and they don't know how they actually building their boards out. So I like Mazi. Just calm down. I think once it settles in, we see how Tyler Smith worked out. I remember back when Michael Parsons got drafted, and those people didn't like that. So I mean, you got to think about it. Every year we deal with this, and then being of the community, we got it's a little polarized, and it's going to be some love, it's going to be some hate, but I think it'd be all right. Moving on to what you were saying about the offensive guard, I think that is what kind of just pushed me back a little bit in the second round, getting a tight end there. I thought it was ample time to get a guard. I see those Cyrus Torrance, and to see him go one pick later, I was like, okay. And there still was some guys on the board. To be honest, I really like the Drew Sanders. But when it settles in a little bit, I guess what I mean, the tight end position. I don't know if it was a situation where they felt like in the third round or wherever the tiers was going to drop. I see Kraft; he went a little bit later. But looking at Schoonmaker, I do think he's a good player. He's a good player. The only thing is, I would say where they got him. But at the end of the day, we don't know if somebody would have came in and picked him up 3 picks later or 4 picks later, however that may go.
Right.
But if I'm looking at the player himself, you got a big boy, 6'6", blocker first, kind of like the polar opposite of a Dalton Shaw, if I must say. He has the athleticism. I mean, he has upside as a catcher. I mean, he got strong hand. He catches the ball. It's not bobbling off his chest and anything like that. If he get his hands on it, he got it. And I think they would develop him that way, with the potential of, getting in the seam and doing some other things later on. But in general, I like him. Should we have got a guard there? I think that's up for debate.
No, I agree. I think, immediately I was like Osiris Torrance all the way right here. So that didn't make sense to me. But then it leads me to wonder, is McCarthy looking to establish more of an outside zone scheme, drafting a guy like Schoonmaker? So if that's the case, then you're not as worried about guard if you're going to be hitting the C gap. You know what I mean? So Sidney Brown was also a player there, and I like Sidney Brown a lot out of Illinois. Philly did happen to
Right.
scoop him up. I thought that would have been a reasonable play. Not that it's BPA there, but ignoring need, I think that he could make an impact on the defense. And drafting a guy like Mazi Smith in round one would only elevate a guy like Sidney Brown from round two. But the Schoonmaker thing, I'm kind of taken back, I think, because, like you said, he's not exactly a weapon. He's more of a utility blocker. Whereas I don't think Ferguson is the blocking type. He's going to be more of a playmaker tight end. But I would have been much rather waited to take a tight end later because we did see glimpses out of Hendershot and Ferguson. So I think we didn't have to go tight end here. I do
Right.
think there was better talent there. I think that was
Which,
kind of a panic play with the run on tight ends.
which is why I think I mean they went and got him like you just spoke it. You said Ferguson is the playmaker tight end. And I think they kind of wanted that yin yang. And if it's one thing I do realize, if you think back, it was early games this year where the Cowboys actually brought out 3 tight end sets.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it's something that I think, I think they want to be more physical. They prioritize the blocking at tight end, right? So why not prioritize blocking along the offensive line? But I mean,
Right.
if you kind of take the glasses off a little bit and the rose colored glasses and you're mad about certain things like that, I would say this: it seems like the Cowboys are drafting for roles that they know they have these players going into, and then with the potential of what they would develop into, they got the developmental mindset, right? So I think with him day one, I think he will play. I don't foresee him starting over Jake Ferguson. I'm gonna say that. I think if Ferguson will be number one tight end, and I think you'll see him in and out of the offense as with us getting back to the 12 personnel. Like a lot of tight end heavy sets, which means will we really see Gallup a lot more than we think.
Right.
Now, with that number 3 receiver or number 4 actual guy that we thought we wanted, will it be a CeeDee Lamb and a Brandon Cooks out there more often with the tight ends rather than the 3 tight end sets? So he might have a nice little role for him. But in general, I like him, but I do agree with you in the sense of I think we should attack guard there. I don't think tight end was a big of a need as maybe they did, but maybe it's something in that room that what I mean, looking for that they was missing. And, I just think defense is set. I like everything we've done. I just want to see us get Dak some help now. He needs it. And
Sure.
like you said, the defensive lines in the NFC East is getting better. I'm looking across the drafts. I think the Giants are having a hell of a draft. I thought at that spot, I also like Jalen Hyde. You also see him come off the board, the New York Giants later on. And Philly, your boy Sidney Brown. I don't think we needed a safety as much as they needed a safety, but nevertheless, he's a good player. But I think the first 2 picks, I like Mazi. I do like Schoonmaker. And I think it's something to be said. I think that they are trying to get bigger, they say, stronger and faster at each position. Not only that, they wanted big time players that played in big time programs and big time
Right.
situations. And these guys fit the mold for that.
And before moving to pick the third round pick here, I think pick 1, pick 2, so 26, 57, the Cowboys became a lot more powerful right there. I do
Absolutely.
think so there, which leads me to pick 3. They go and they get a sniper to add some speed as well. So we became quicker and stronger the last 2 days, in my opinion. And I think, is it DeMarvion?
Yeah,
DeMarvion
Marvion.
Overshown, linebacker out of Texas. I see him as a sniper. Jabril Cox type player, and he's gonna, like you said before, he's gonna get stuck playing some special teams for sure. And is he just gonna completely take over what Damone Clark and Jabril Cox have been working towards? I'm not sure. We don't really have much information on those two, but I do see him playing more of a spy role, more zone role, and I think that's important with Daniel Jones and Jalen Hurts in the division, that he can seek them out, snipe them out from across the field. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts there?
Now, I would say this. Dan Quinn has a type.
Right.
When you look at the linebackers that he's targeting, they all fit in a similar mode. He's like this, what he was trying to do with Keanu O'Neal
Mm-hmm.
and the Javon Curses and the Jabril Cox and the tweeners of guys that you would say is sniper. I don't think now you ask what he would cut in the playing time. I don't think he cutting and twos. I'm sorry, Damon Clark. Damon Clark, I believe is set. I think he's ready to take a leap now. Jabril Cox, I think maybe this was a spot that maybe they viewed him to be, but for some reason he didn't develop into the guy they thought he was going to be. And now you add another guy with similar traits. He's a traits guy. You look at him on film, like you say, he was sniping, he's hitting, he's very athletic, he's a rangy player, he got good coverage ability. If all those things sound familiar, but it seems like he has some trouble with like the misdirection, diagnosing plays, and things like that. So maybe, just maybe, Dan Quinn gets a guy in here like that. He has a role for him. You know what I mean? Maybe he, allows a guy like that to play fast, and this might be just a player for us earlier than expected. Now, you think back about it, like two years ago when they drafted Micah, and they said, "Hey, Micah, why would you draft the off-ball linebacker here? What's going on?" And then, at what point did Dan Quinn get him in here and say, "I like the traits of this guy being a pass rusher for me"? So I look at him. This guy has pass rush ability too. So you don't know maybe how they view Drew Sanders. Drew Sanders coming off the board earlier. Maybe this was a guy who has similar traits that could fit the same bill that they identified when
Sure.
they thought they could bring him into Dallas. When I look at it, I kind of like this pick. I ain't gonna say I kind of like this pick. This may just be one of my favorite picks because you get a guy in round 3, and just the upside of it. I love the upside for him.
See, I think looking at the players available here at pick 90, I think I would have much rather taken a linebacker at 57 and taken Darnell Washington here at pick 90. I think that would have made you more physical, in my opinion. Like
And I agree. I
Trenton
agree.
Simpson right there in the
Yeah.
second round, and then Darnell Washington. And the thing there, they're saying, oh, there might be a medical with Washington. How did nobody know there was a medical before last night? Something's going on
So
there.
no, that's the thing. They're not gonna say it, right? Let's
Right.
think if we're GMs, you know what I mean, and we all know it's a medical situation. That doesn't mean I still don't want to take him. He might be moving on your draft boards, or maybe you put it out there. They knew. They knew a lot of teams backed the ball from him.
Mm-hmm.
But in general, like I'm the same way when I think about that. I prefer the Drew Sanders, and then maybe getting a guard or a tight end if you was going to get one later on.
Right.
But I think the Cowboys. I don't want to say they panicked. I do. I seen Deion Henley. A guy I was talking to, he came off the board, and I do think the Cowboys like Henley as well. And then you see a Trent Simpson, another guy that was the 30-day visit. He goes like 4 picks in front of him,
Hmm.
right in front of right with Baltimore. And it seems like Baltimore is just a great drafting team. They seem to always be keen on the guys that we like. But I do think Trent Simpson was the pick. And I think once that Simpson pick went in, I think they pivoted, and I think he was the next guy in line.
See, and I even think, with Darnell, like if the medical is, to me, when I see Darnell, I picture the Rico Gathers project more complete. He's very, very physical. He's very athletic. He doesn't have the best hands. He's not the best blocker, but you can develop him, right? So
So
I,
what if
I
so what if I tell you this? What
talk,
if I tell you that Schoonmaker may be a better blocker? He might not have the measurables as big, but he's a sneaky athletic guy who has better hands, already has the upside of a receiver. You don't have to develop him as much as you would as Darnell Washington. Darnell Washington may be the bigger project.
see, I still think I would have rather take Darnell in the third here. I do.
We have to see how their careers play out.
No, of
It's going to be a
course.
lot of comparing, as you know.
I just feel like the way the tight
Yeah.
end room looks now, it wasn't necessary in round two. Like I don't feel like you
Nah,
had
I
to do
agree.
that in round two. That's why I'm saying like I would have much rather in round three you take Darnell. He's got the medical. You don't have to force him into the lineup. Give him however much time he needs to recover. Is that 6 months? Is that 9 months? Is that 12? We got
Yeah.
time here. I mean, if it's a long term process, we got Ferguson, we got Hendershot who slowly emerged, and you must have felt comfortable enough moving off Schultz because of those two, because you don't know what you're getting in the draft. So that's why I'm confused here.
Facts. It called me
Um,
crazy, but I would have been fine not picking a tight end at all.
I agree.
I was that set on the room. But like I would say this, I like the player.
No, I
I'm
do.
not gonna pick it. It's just I'm trying to. We don't know the identity and what they're trying to create over there. I'm a back them. I'm a give them the benefit of the doubt. They took him at 2. I don't think it was needed at 2, but as far as the player and London Wells, and they seem like they got a good idea of what they're gonna do with these guys. It's one of those things when training camp happen, and then we get later into the season and see how it all plays out. We'll know a little bit more about some of them. And we still got some players on the board. Like in the later rounds, we coming up. Maybe we still get that guard. Maybe it kind of just, maybe mellows it down for us, alleviates, put some of the, some of the panic out the room as far as getting some guys up front for Dak. Mafia is still out there. I like Zavala. You still see DeJuan Jones out there attack. I'm wondering what's going on with him. Is he another guy with a medical flag? At the running back position, you still see, your boy Zach Evans, another third-day visit.
Right.
McBride is still out there. So it's some boys. I also like Chase Brown. Now, what if I was to tell you we come out there with Mafia in the next round? We get a strong guard or DeJuan Jones, another tackle, and then we come out there with a running back. Does that make you feel a little bit better about what happened in front of him?
So just to clear, I'm not upset with the picks. I just think we are headed a new direction as far as identity. Like I
Yeah.
think years past, we would have made different plays. But with Kellen Moore out the window, Dan Quinn he got paid a little more. He probably has a little more juice in the building. And then what's his name? Jerry told Micah, or not Micah, Mike McCarthy, we'll pick the players, you coach them up, pretty much. So
Yeah.
we know Will McClay doesn't let us down. A couple other names: Andrew Voorhees out of USC, the guard. That's a name
Okay.
I
I like
wouldn't mind
Voorhees.
scooping
Yep.
up today.
Hmm.
Round 5, maybe round 6. A couple of DBs I like that are still available. We got Rush out of South Carolina. We
Ringo's
got
still out there.
Yep, we got Hodges Tomlinson out of TCU and Kelly Ringo out of Georgia. So those are 3 DBs I'm keeping my eyes on today. You mentioned the running backs, and then I'm not opposed to grabbing another linebacker. Ivan Pace is still out there. He's
Oh yeah.
potentially a guy that could
I like.
go
Now go ahead.
undrafted. I think maybe like a 6th round pick. But I wouldn't be angry if we opened up round 4 with Ivan Pace either.
I love to get a pace. And I might even like pace over Overshown, but I don't want to get too much in that. But
Right.
it's still players. That's the crazy thing about it. And you hear Mike McCarthy came out. He was like, "It's still a lot of drafting to be done. Maybe some trades. Just don't be surprised if you see, some little movement here and there. What I mean, not just picks. I'm talking players. You know what I mean. So, in general, I will say this. I think the defense in general has just kind of went up a new level. Maybe top 5 to top 3, just getting that guy in the middle. I like what they've done. Now you look at it on the offensive side of the ball. I think they just need to sit back and understand like what work need to be done.
Right.
You get a Brandon Cooks in here. I kind of like the idea of our wide receiver room as it is. And then hopefully hoping that Tolbert kind of takes it a step up. But I would like to get a guy in the later round. So I'm not so hell bent on making it a need right now. So if we was to leave out here and get a wide receiver in round 6 or somebody like that, I'm not panicking right there. I think the more important thing is to do is get another guy in there running back just in case Pollard or something doesn't work out for you as far as the injury, and that him leaving next year gives you that insurance. And then definitely offensive lineman, seeing how the defensive lines across the league is just stacking up, and especially in the division.
Yeah, and one thing too, I wouldn't be surprised if we draft a kicker today. I think the
Facts.
Cowboys were eyeballing the kicker that San Francisco snagged up. Was that a reach yesterday? No, I think San Francisco did the right thing. But I do think kicker is going to be on our mind as we head into the last day of the draft. And then don't be deterred and look away from the draft today. I mean, you got dudes. Richard Sherman was like a 5th round pick. I think Kittle was in the
Absolutely.
5th.
Yeah.
Antonio Brown's a 6th round wide receiver, man. Like, there's still guys out there. You just got to do the research and find them. And we got some of the best
Yeah.
scouts in the game, man.
Yeah, just look back at last year. You know what I mean? You got your Deron Blands. You had a Jake Ferguson
Yeah.
last year. Like these are guys that, what I mean, when they came out, they were traits guys. We didn't expect them to come in day one and be the players they was. But you know what I mean, with Dan Quinn and Will, they have the traits that they're looking for. They have the identity as far as the mindset makeup that these players are dogs and how they like them, man. So you know what I mean? I'm gonna just have to stick to that point. I think we'll be fine. And then another sneaking one. They've said it before. Just don't be surprised if the Cowboys target a quarterback in one of these later rounds. Max Duncan, I believe he's still out there. I have to double check, but it's another guy that they like, TCU kid. So just don't be surprised if that's one of the picks as well.
Jake Hayner's another name I like today out of Fresno State. But I do wonder now that we did bring Cooper Rush back, is that on the list of things? Because you're going to have to carry Cooper, I think, regardless into the season. So do you want to roll 3 quarterbacks? I don't know.
We need a
Um,
developmental guy. Cooper Rush he's on a 1 year deal, and you know what I mean. It's still a lot of uncertainty in that room.
that's what.
So
Don't be surprised if we draft a QB. They might float around on the practice squad, move up and down the active roster. But we got good things on the way today. I know that much.
let's go, man. Hey, come on, Cowboy Nation, man. Let's sit back, pray that what I mean, we get somebody on this offensive line because poor Dak. Tyron Smith goes out again, we might be in trouble. But overall, man, I like what we've done so far. I know everybody like I reinstated before that you have certain guys you like, but every year what I mean, Mel Kiper and these guys give you these boards, and if you used to look at their boards and you was look at the rankings, then these rankings never line up. You know what I mean? It's gyms for a reason. Players take their guys for a reason. And to that point, trust the scouts, don't trust these TV GMs.